What's next for the Detroit Red Wings? In the aftermath of the intro episode of this series, where I gave you all the opportunity to give me your feedback on what you thought this series was going to be and what it could be, we have a couple of things to address before we go through our first offseason with this team. So we're going to get right down to business with that. It is going to be a very eventful episode. Now, first and foremost, a lot of talk in regards to what to do with our current players on the team, but perhaps no greater question than what we're going to be doing with Dylan Larkin. A lot of support for Dylan Larkin in the comments, but also along those lines of what to do with players that are already in the league from those three teams, of course, that being Flint, Saginaw, and Erie, or from players, or for players that are from the state of Michigan. Now, I'll say this. When it comes to the idea of keeping Dylan Larkin, I don't necessarily hate it. However, when it comes to using players that are already in the league from one of those three teams or that are from the state of Michigan, that's just not what this series is meant to be about, and I'll tell you why. If you want to look at current NHL players from the state of Michigan, then you're talking about us being able to use players in the series like Torrey Krug, Jacob Trouba, Kyle Connor, Alex DeBrincat, Zach Werenski. If you want to talk about us being able to use players from the Erie Otters, then you open up the possibility of, obviously, Connor McDavid, Ryan O'Reilly. From the Flint Firebirds, not that many alumni from that particular team, but from Saginaw, then you'd be able to see useful players like TJ Brody, Brandon Saad, Vincent Trocheck. Phillip Roenick, of course, on this team would already be usable. It just wouldn't make this series difficult enough if we were to sit here and say, oh, well, we can use players that were born in the state of Michigan. And as it is, a little bit later on in this series, we wouldn't be able to tell who's from the state of Michigan. That's just not how it works. So we'd have to go into edit player for every single person to check, and that is just not something I'm going to do. And then again, for the former OHL players, it's just, there's already too much good talent available, flat out, to the point where it would really take away from the challenge of this series. But I understand the support behind keeping Dylan Larkin on this team as sort of a face of the franchise. Now, there was also a discussion over whether or not I would add the Windsor Spitfires, due to their geographical location and kind of their connection with the Red Wings, to the team pool that we could use, or whether or not I would also add players from the U.S. Central, or perhaps even just in general, players that were born in the United States that happen to play in the OHL. And obviously, the more that we add to the list of, players that we can acquire, the more likely that it is that this series becomes relatively easy. Because if you look at this upcoming draft, so if we were to say USA players who were in the OHL, that opens up the opportunity for us to draft Jacob Perreault, which would be extremely helpful. I mean, obviously, this is just the first-year draft as well, but, there are some decent American players that will show up throughout the years as we continue on with computer-generated players. But at the end of the day, I'm a people pleaser. So here's what I'm proposing. First and foremost, in terms of being able to get players that are already in the league from one of the three teams or from the state of Michigan, no, that's not what this series is meant to be. There are far too many good players out there that would make what's supposed to be a challenge series far, far too easy. When it comes to keeping Dylan Larkin on this team, I will consider it. We might even put it to a poll, and as a matter of fact, I think that's probably what I'm likely to do, because at the end of the day, we do still need players to keep up. I mean, basically, though, if you're a fan of Dylan Larkin and you want him to stay here, you're basically saying, I never want to see Dylan Larkin win a Stanley Cup in this series. Because by the time Dylan Larkin by the time the rest of the team is built up around him, he's going to be out of his prime. But when it comes to, adding the Windsor Spitfires as a potential draft option, when it comes to using U.S. Central players, those are, that's a topic of discussion that I'm willing to have at least go to a vote to see what ultimately wins, right? So I'm thinking that's what we're going to do. In the comment section of this video, we are going to have the vote as to whether or not Dylan Larkin stays or goes. He is the only player on this current team that vote applies for. Everybody else will be leaving. But if we want Dylan Larkin to stay on this team because it makes it a little bit more fun, sure. There's also a poll for what happens as far as the inclusion of the Windsor Spitfires, which again, I'm willing to allow just because of how close they are. U.S. Central players, I mean, there was a good amount of support for that. I'm willing to vote for that as well. But when it comes to U.S.-born players in the OHL, I'll leave it up to you guys, but I think that might make it a bit too easy. So there will be some polls in the description. However, with this draft, we are going to be going forward with it through the original rules that I had established previously. So that includes getting rid of a lot of players that are on this team right now, with the exception of Dylan Larkin, who we will be keeping around. Again, when I said it's a Detroit Red Wings series, there was that asterisk next to it, and that, well, not really. So again, for those who are like, well, I want to see a straight up Red Wings series, I hate to tell you, that's not what this is. And it was never going to be that, unfortunately. So what we're going to be doing, there is going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of flip-flopping with these players in order to move options around. So allow me to actually make a quick little jump cut here because I got to set up something in the background. So give me a second. All right, so what we have here is a lovely wheel. Simply put, we spin the wheel. Whatever team it lands on is where we attempt to trade a player if they can afford said player. So we'll see how that goes as the New York Islanders, of course, won the Alexis Lafreniere sweepstakes. So what we're going to be doing here is getting rid of basically whoever we need to in terms of big value players and players that actually have contract terms. So Philip Larson, Bratstrom, Fulcher, Bernier and Pickard, or Pickard and Bernier, choose your order. We're going to be looking to flip these players. Actually, we won't be using Jonathan Bernier here. So how we're going to be getting rid of players, right, is we're going to be going to our own 7th round pick, and then we go to a team, and we'll flip them for a 7th round pick. Now, unfortunately, of course, Anaheim would have too many goaltenders. I just need to see, actually, for this particular trade, I'm probably just going to be like, okay, who needs goaltending? The problem is, most of these teams are probably going to have full goaltending setups, so it might not work for this particular option here. A lot of teams are going to have goalies here, you know what? So, for example, with Chicago, congratulations, you're going to get Philip Larson, because why not? This is going to be the easiest way to set it up. So we'll flip up our 7th round pick. We'll go to Chicago. It's going to have to be a 7th rounder next year, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but there you go. Philip Larson. Apparently not. You gotta be kidding me. We might be stuck with certain players like that for now. You know what? Screw it. We'll just go for the big players then. We'll do it that way. That's incredibly dumb. You gotta love when it's set up like that. We might actually have to wait. You know, I think we'll do that. We'll wait until free agency when teams have the cap space available. So that's when we'll handle that. So for now, we're just gonna focus on the draft. Now, it is draft to glory style, which means that we're not allowed to trade up. We're not allowed to trade down. We just make the best of what we have. So we will be simming to the number 5 pick. There's a dude named Datsuk off the board. Lucas Raymond. Byfield went 2nd. So the question is, who is available to us now? So, for example, here, if we were to use, I should have gone the other way, but if we were to use U.S. Central, I mean, Jake Sanderson would have been available. Brendan Brisson, Thomas Bordlow, apparently. I mean, there are certainly, some computer-generated players that would have been pretty good. Like I said, I'll leave it up to you guys heading into the next draft. We'll see what the result of that poll happens to be instead of judging it off of just the comments. But yeah, we'll see how that works out. But for now, we focus on the OHL. And the good thing is, of course, Jamie Drysdale is still here. And quite obviously, he will be our number 1 pick here from the Erie Otters. We have our defenseman for the future with one Jamie Drysdale, the top defenseman available in this draft. So we'll sim ahead to pick number 33, just to get you a look at how the remainder of the round played out. Stützle to New Jersey. Cole Perfetti goes to Montreal. Rossi to Los Angeles. Holtz to Ottawa. Lundell to Carolina. You have Dawson Mercer on the move. Jack Quinn, or on the move, but he goes to Columbus. Quinn to Anaheim. Connor Zary to Dallas. Sanderson went to Chicago. Amarov to Calgary. Chubasov, who I think is computer-generated, went to Buffalo. Gunler to New York. Schneider to Washington. Holloway to Vegas. Jarvis to Tampa. Goulet to Nashville. Maverick Bourque to Florida. Hendricks Lapierre to Arizona. Brisson to Minnesota. J.J. Peterka. He's a German, I know that much. He went to Pittsburgh. Yaroslav Askarov went to Tampa because, of course. Bordlow to Edmonton. Wallinder to Boston. Macisaac to Colorado. Perreault to Carolina. And Neighbors to Winnipeg. And then a computer-generated player by the name of Ristolainen went next. That gives us the second pick of the second round. Now, Rory Lukowich would be available, but again, we're not adopting that as an official rule yet. So again, we are looking now. If Windsor was available, Will here would be available, but he, again, not available for the moment. Nor is Foodie. Let's see who we have here. So again, we're looking for Erie, Saginaw, and Flint. And we know we're going to have to scroll down quite a bit to pull this off. It's got to be Marcus Gretz. I mean, I know he's showing up as a bust. I honestly don't know why he's showing up as a bust. He should be half decent. It's him or Veerling, potentially Hayden Fowler. You have Tabak there as well, not available to us. It's got to be Gretz. It's not going to be a great first draft for us, no matter what we do. We'll figure it out as we go along. But it is going to be Marcus Gretz, another defenseman, the American from the Firebirds. He's only a medium 7. Now, of course, the first-year draft was always going to be rough for us, so I don't hate it. Now, we do have an extra second-round pick here, and Evan Veerling should still be available for us. It looks like he is. Boy, having Lukowich would have been nice, but you know what? It's fine. We'll leave it as is, because if anything, that kind of gets you a look at how much easier this process could be if we were to kind of change the rules. You know, how easy do we want this process to be? I don't think we want it to be all that easy. But again, we will scroll down here, and the next player available is going to be Evan Veerling or Hayden Fowler. I'm going to take Hayden Fowler on this one because of Veerling showing up as a bust. To be honest, I thought Gretz was a medium 6. So Hayden Fowler joins the team as well. Apparently the Kings are shopping Kopitar, which is a batshit insane move, but feel free to do what you want. So for the OHL, let's see who else we have available here. Again, Erie, Saginaw, or Flint. I really should have just gone through and marked all these players, but what are you going to do? So Veerling is still there. And based off of who else was available here, I think he's going to have to be the guy. Or we go for Brendan Hoffman. Might not be the worst idea in the world. Or Ethan Cardwell on Saginaw. I think we're going to avoid Veerling for that reason. And it's either going to be Hoffman or Cardwell. To be honest, I think we're going to go for Cardwell. He's a little bit younger. Good old Ethan Cardwell. How good are you? Medium bottom 6. That's not surprising. Again, that's pretty much the best that we can hope for. We actually do have an extra third-round pick as well. I was unaware of that, but hey, we'll make the most of this here. Be able to pick up a couple of other decent options. We'll scroll down, and next up is going to be, we're going to end up with Hoffman as well, as opposed to taking Veerling. Another medium bottom 6. Hey, right now we're carving out the fourth line and the third defensive pairing, or at least our depth options moving forward, with the exception, of course, of our lovely number 5 overall pick. So to take a look again, boy, it's like the same players here, of course. See who else we have next. Who's it going to be is the question. Again, if we were to add Windsor or the U.S. Central, we would certainly have more options. Max Galad or Michael Bianconi right now are the top 2 options for us here. There's also Emmett Pierce, all 6'6" of them, as another available option. Let's scroll down here a little bit more. See who else we have here. Dennis Busby of the Flint Firebirds. Yeah, slim pickings right now at this stage of the draft, of course, but I think we have our next 3 lined up Yep, we keep scrolling down. You got Cody Morgan, Eric Uba. Okay, and Caleb Everett also on Saginaw. So it's either going to be Bianconi or Galad, and I'm probably going to go for Bianconi. He's a year younger. Galad's an overager. So welcome aboard, Mr. Bianconi. And if Galad's still available with this next pick here in the 6th round, that'll be a much better time to pick him up. And the answer is that he is there. So Max Galad, welcome aboard. The overager. I believe we have 1 pick left in this draft here in the 7th. It's not the best draft in the world for us, but first year of a draft of glory is never that great. We are going to go for Emmett Pierce. Just because, again, these rankings are a bit scary. So we'll take 6'6" Emmett Pierce. He is not good. So that'll do it for the first year draft for us. We benefited from an extra 2nd round pick, even though, we ended up with Gretz. Jamie Drysdale was the big acquisition there. Of course, to get you a look at the 2nd round as well for those who are like, oh, well, where'd this prospect go? Just scroll through this really quickly so you guys can pause at any given time if you want to find out. But all in all, I don't hate it and how this draft played out for us. It's tough with the first year draft to be like, yeah, this is how it's going to be for the entire duration of the series, because probably not. Like I said, I'm hesitant to add in other leagues. I do want a challenging series. But again, we'll see how this plays out. So this is where it gets interesting here. Our first resign phase. Oh boy. You ready for this? I don't know if you are. First and foremost, Jimmy Howard, obviously gone. Jesper Eliasson will not be signed. Pretty straightforward. Madison Bowie, you are just outright gone. No qualifying offer. You are just gone. Cody Golubov, gone. Kyle Wood, gone. Do I need to go through and do this for every single one? No, but it's for emphasis. Setkov, you're gone. Anthony Mantha, you're gone. Evgeny Svechnikov, gone. For the left wings, Tyler Bertuzzi, gone. Perlini, gone. Hirose, I forget which one it is. You're gone. Adam Ernie, you're gone. Timashov, Matt Plemple, Chris Terry. We are just destroying this roster. Jonathan Berggren, you're out of here. And for centers, Robbie Fabry, you're gone. Sam Gagne, you're Gagne. N. Turgeon, Turner Elson. Everybody's gone. We are slowly and systematically destroying this roster from within. So Dylan Larkin right now is a sole survivor, but for how much longer is the question, and you have to ask yourself, if you're a fan of Dylan Larkin, do you really want to see him on this team, again, knowing that this roster is going to be hot garbage for the majority of his career. It's going to take a while to build this up, and to be honest, again, we're not done yet in terms of trades. Now, Albert Johansen just signed his ELC, and with that, we bring things over to the lovely wheel. Albert Johansen, you will be going to the Washington Capitals. Albert, congratulations. Now, the good thing is they want you, so that's nice. But you, along with the 7th round pick, will be going to Washington for their 7th round pick. Albert, we'll see you later. Have fun in Washington, as we are going to be pissing off every single person on this team along the way. Let's just pull off the Band-Aid now. Philip Zadina, where are you getting traded to? The answer is Philadelphia. Interesting, it lands on 2 straight Metro teams. The Philadelphia Flyers win the Zadina lottery and will be acquiring the winger in exchange for virtually nothing. Philip Zadina, have fun in Philadelphia. It's a good thing that I can't be fired. I know, Red Wings fans, it's going to be painful, but we'll make it through this together. Jared Macisaac, where are you going is the question. The answer is Tampa Bay. They win the Jared Macisaac lottery, and we will send him over there for a lovely 7th rounder. You notice I'm not just doing it for a straight up 7th rounder. That is to make sure that we don't benefit from the deal whatsoever. So we'll add another 7th. Could have just done the multi-select there, but what are you going to do? Next up and on the way out is going to be Joe Vallejo. God, this has to suck for Red Wings fans. Joe Vallejo will be traded to not Philadelphia. We're not going to do a repeat team there, to be honest. So you know what? Let's scroll down. We'll take Philly, Washington, and Tampa out of the mix, and let's spin it up and see who's going where next. And it's going to be Winnipeg. Winnipeg. Take Winnipeg off the list, but the Winnipeg Jets will be acquiring one Joe Vallejo with this next trade. They don't have a 7th, so we'll just do it for a 6th rounder instead. Easy does it. Joe Vallejo, have fun in Winnipeg as we continue to piss off every single player on this team. Morale is going to be at an extreme low. Somehow Dylan Larkin's not yet upset. Moritz Seider. Where are you going to be traded to? The answer is Toronto. I suppose that could have been a hell of a lot more painful if it was Chicago for Red Wings fans, but you will be going to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they get a young defenseman and yet another young defenseman. Do the Leafs. So a big congratulations to them. Moritz Seider off to Toronto. This has to be painful. We'll see what happens next up. It's going to be Phillip Roenick, who is not very happy right now. He is not a happy camper. You, good sir, will be going to the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers for one Phillip Roenick. So let's send you. So the Metro team's benefiting quite well up to this point. Phillip, we'll see you later. The morale on this team is going to be abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Michael Rasmussen is next, and he will be traded to the San Jose Sharks. So Michael Rasmussen on the way out, on the move. You're going out west to beautiful San Jose. This is definitely the right time to do it now that teams aren't like, oh, we're trying to re-sign people. Rasmussen, we'll see you later. We'll see who's next up. Let's go ahead and add that San Jose 7th. And it is going to be Dennis Cholowski. Good old Dennis that we will add to this deal, and it's going to be to the Ottawa Senators. Dennis goes to Ottawa. Congratulations to the Sens. I'll update that list once more as we continue to take teams off the list as we move along. Dennis Cholowski going to the Ottawa Senators, and it's at the point now where I think the players on the team start to realize, oh shit, this is what's happening. Yeah, you got nowhere to go. Justin Abdelkader, I doubt we're going to be able to even trade Franz Nielsen. Honestly, I think we're going to keep Abdelkader. We're going to keep Nielsen. Master Simone, we're just going to let him go once he's developed. We've pretty much torn this team apart. Filppula, we're going to keep for the... Actually, I might be able to flip Filppula. Go figure. Flipper might be able to be dealt because he's on an expiring contract, so he'll actually have some value. Who wins the Valtteri Filppula sweepstakes? The answer is Nashville. Nashville, do you want yourself some Valtteri Filppula? It doesn't really look like you can even afford him. Yeah, Nashville can't do it. Okay, well, let's spin again. Who wants them some Valtteri Filppula? The answer is the Florida Panthers. Can the Panthers take on Filppula? Yes, they can. So, 7th round pick that was originally Winnipeg's. Valtteri Filppula dealt to the Panthers, and with that, I think we're just about good to go. Again, Master Simone, Tuomisto, we just won't sign these guys. And then you look at Nemeth and Nielsen, I just don't think we're going to be able to trade them, and we can use them for cap holds for the season. Excuse me. So that'll be the way we handle that. Everybody else can stay on this roster for the moment, with the exception of goaltenders, where we might as well just let these dudes develop, probably, and then see what happens. Even Jonathan Bernier, we're going to hold him on the roster for this season. So This team is now officially an outright disaster. Whether or not we trade Dylan Larkin is going to be up to you, and I'm actually going to end the episode here because who I sign in free agency to help fill out this roster, we need to know for sure how much cap space is open, and that depends on the situation with Dylan Larkin as you see the top free agents that are out there right now. But in terms of who's getting big money, Justin Jaffrey, Joel Lundqvist, these are the players here that are going to be getting some big-time money and will be the future of the Detroit Red Wings. So again, down in the description, you will find the poll that will decide Dylan Larkin's future. You will find the poll that will decide whether or not we add the Windsor Spitfire prospects to the available player pool, we'll say, and then, of course, U.S. Central as well. And then for U.S.-born players in the OHL, I think I'm just going to say no to that one. I'm going to say no to that one. So it's Larkin's future, the Windsor Spitfires, and U.S. Central players. Those three polls can be found in the description. The result of that will be final, and we'll be getting into our second season with the team in this lovely Draft to Glory style. It just determines whether or not you guys want Dylan Larkin to be a mascot on this team instead of, giving him a chance to actually be successful. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're a Red Wings fan, you probably didn't enjoy, but again, you should have known. I mentioned this wasn't going to be a straight-up Red Wings series. We weren't going to see how Moritz Seider developed on this team. That was never the intention of the series. But regardless, hope you enjoyed. You know the deal. Support the video, support the channel. Check out everything else in the description while you're there. And a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. I love you all. And I will see you all in the next one where, fingers crossed for some good draft luck. We're going to need it.